Hello, everybody. I hope you're all having a wonderful day so far. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2023. I hope you all had a wonderful New Year's Eve and, I don't know, like made some good resolutions or picked a theme for your year or something, like something more practical than a resolution. You know, or at least I wish all the best, right? Good reflection on the last year. Oh, I'm glad I took last night off. It would have been a mistake for me to stream last night. I made sure to have a very personally meaningful experience, and I think that I set myself up for success going into 2023, so hopefully that ends up being true, right? Today, we are going to be continuing our levels of play study in League of Legends, which, if you don't know, is the study that we're doing where we take our theoretical knowledge of the game and design kind of a lens through which we can filter that knowledge so that it becomes practically usable for strategizing at certain levels of play, given the constraints placed on some of the players, basically given what the dominant problems are at that level of play, right? Because it's very, very important to meet players where they're at, and strategize around that while we're working on, like, if we want to deliver results while also working on getting better, right? So that's kind of the theory behind what we're doing right now. I have pulled up my list again. Let's see if my camera's on. It is on. I forgot to check if my camera was on. This is what we ended up with last time. How does Platinum work, right? Platinum is a level of play where the lane phase is stable, the basic macro fundamentals are stable. You know, like, Platinum players have the very basics of the game understood, and they can execute them on a pretty reasonable level, right? But anything that shakes up those fundamentals is deeply uncomfortable, because when you have to think beyond those basics that you have learned, it gets really, really, really difficult at the Platinum level. Or at least that's kind of what I'm experiencing right now through, you know, because I've been spending so much time on theory that I am just a Platinum player and I'm having trouble with my mental stack, right? And talking to a lot of other Platinum players, that seems to be a pretty dominant problem. I was going to say among them, among us, whatever. I'll be speaking as though I'm not a part of this group, even though I very clearly am. So specificity is very, very hard in Platinum. Very fast decisions are also hard unless you've, like, fully flowcharted them out through experience. And, like, players can kind of apply specificity to their lane matchups, right? Like, that's a very, very practiced element of the game for Platinum players. But, you know, it's still kind of tricky, right? So the lack of specificity and the lack of being able to think beyond, like, the basics of your understanding the game causes a lot of problems with playing reactively. It can be difficult to both predict what your opponent is going to do and to pick the correct response to it in Platinum. Jungle tracking is still not ideal, but at least these, like, Platinum players know how to generate some information. Jungle support synergy can be lacking. The vision games can be a little underdeveloped, and that has some implications throughout basically everything, right? So in IBS, the matchup didn't matter at all. We had, like, some very, very specific things that would contribute to a matchup having, like, meaning. Ultimately, at that level of play, the fundamentals were too poor and matchups could swing in either direction, so we didn't really care, right? We just wanted to make it more likely it would swing in our direction. Here, the matchups do matter again. Things generally start to play out as expected. If you have archetype-based matchups, they're almost always properly punished. If you have range-based matchups, they're always properly punished. Hi, Karibo. Good to see you. And what I mean by archetype-based matchups is, like, if you play bot lane, Mage versus Warden matchups, the Warden almost always loses. That does apply in Platinum, right? But we still start to see this kind of lens of aggro start to develop. Like, kill champions are still punishing laning mistakes, right? Laning is cleaner, but there's still going to be something that isn't quite right eventually, and, like, that's when you strike. Champions like Samira generate a lot of kills. There is so much aggro value. I hate fandom. Again, archetype-based matchups matter, range-based matchups matter, but interaction-based matchups maybe don't matter still at this level of play. Basically, what I mean, I'm thinking back to a game I had a long time ago. Granted, I was still very rusty at the time, but I'm playing Zyra into Thresh. That is a Zyra favored matchup on paper, but it's an interaction-based matchup. Zyra wins on interactions. And then I kind of generalized that experience of me failing to execute the interaction. Like, Zyra should be able to plant Thresh's hook on reaction every time, severely limit his options, then it becomes a Mage Warden thing, and, you know. But I noticed, through thinking about that experience and through watching other games, that Platinum players tend to get themselves in a position where they cannot generate their winning interactions. Like, I disrespected a Thresh in the bush or something, and then I can't plant on reaction anymore, and now I'm losing. I'm seeing Sivers failing to spell shield stuff. I'm seeing, like, Rel players just being allowed to engage from bushes when they really should not be. Like, it's just, it's weird, but the conclusion is that interaction-based matchups don't matter at this level of play, right? So laners can struggle to prep waves in advance because there's a lot of synchronization issues. That's like a dominant theme in Platinum, just synchronization errors. Dives still occur, but they will result in some more losses on the map than should be expected, so you can always try to punish somewhere, try to generate some leads somewhere, right? Compositional matchups are not that impactful because it's very hard for Platinum players to change the way that they play, so control is still really bad at this level. This is a big problem that I had with my drafting last year, where I was drafting like bait and punish stuff for Plat teams, and that never pans out properly, because like anything where you're expected to go down a little bit and then recover doesn't really work, because you'll go down too much and then choke. Control champions are still good, but not full comps. And then, yeah, the rest of this stuff is just, like, players struggle to know exactly what their allies need from them. We kind of, like, figured that out from our last session. Platinum players struggle with information processing. Once a fight has broken out, it's hard to take an additional info, so you can generate some really bad surprise flanks. By bad, I mean, like, impactful, damning, like, not actually poor in quality. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So, I was thinking today about what exactly I'm going to study today. Like, am I going to be working on some tier lists again? Am I going to be talking about what champions have extreme warp factors that make them more appealing in Platinum level play? What the hell? The bottom of my screen here said sexeducation.fandom.com. Like, I was moused over a link. I'm like, what? Oh my god, because right there, there's a... I hate this site. Whew, we're focused. We worked out a lot of matchup stuff, but I noticed a hole in my knowledge today. I don't know how jungle matchups swing in Platinum. I have no idea. And what made me realize is I was thinking about my own pool, because I'm going to have to jungle the split coming up. And I thought, okay, I'm an Ivern enjoyer. I really like Ivern. I think Ivern is awesome. And originally I was thinking, I mean, like, I can handle Ivern into most matchups. Like, the only really bad one is, like, if they counterpick Rengar and then use my bushes against me, right? But generally I could handle Ivern into anything in theory, right? It doesn't even matter if I lose some resources. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute, the counterplay to Ivern is to capitalize on his really rigid first clear where he's running low on resources, not to invade him, but to incite chaos in the lanes that he simply cannot answer. Part of the thing that made me a much better jungler now that I've, like, started this role swap temporarily, is recognizing how to play for my lanes more and, like, react to lane states and counter gank and stuff like that, but the option is just not there for me during some periods of Ivern's game. If you detect that Ivern is clearing, especially on first clear, he can't really deviate from that. So now I'm thinking, well, is that matchup detail relevant at my level of play? Like, is that something that actually matters that I have to draft around here? So I think what I need to do today is I need to find more Platinum VODs. I need to find more amateur Plat play. And I need to determine what happens in the jungle. Like, how do the matchups swing? Like, are people taking advantage of moments where they can impact the lanes and their opponent cannot? Are they taking advantage of, like, invade opportunities where they're noticeably stronger than their opponent and can bully them out of the jungle? Like, when are they doing that? Like, because, like, jungle matchups are typically the least impactful matchups on the map. Usually, even if you're in, like, worst case scenario jungle matchups and you're, like, a huge carry who really cannot be denied resources, there's always pathing decisions you can make to kind of get around your matchup. Like, there's always a way to play it out. But, like, first of all, are Platinum junglers thinking about those avoidant paths? And are Platinum junglers thinking about those invade opportunities, like where they can kill before laners have a chance to respond? Or, like, a lot of questions in mind, right? So that's what we have to figure out today. I just had this, like, champion page up earlier because I was working on some mage itemization stuff, and I just wanted to, like, look at a list of all the mages and AP assassins and stuff, right? So yeah, let me pull something up, and I'm gonna start with Victoris. Maybe we can find some Aegis stuff too. Who knows? Victoris Esports. Actually, yeah, I'll look up Aegis Esports. I don't know what VODs they have. That's the Legends of Runeterra channel. I'm keeping it off screen because I don't really trust searching stuff on the internet right on my stream. It looks like it has been a long time since they actually uploaded their League of Legends VODs consistently. But we do have a grand finals from APL, which is the Platinum League. So that's good. Victoris, last time we watched VRS Grand Finals. We still have, like, VRS semifinals and, like, VRS quarters, regular season, stuff like that. You were looking at just from the junglers and looked at raw. Yeah, no. But it's just sorted by mage, right? It's sorted by class right now. So it's technically not sorted by mid or anything, right? Yeah, sorry. I just have that up. You know what? Let's just start with this, shall we? Let's start with APL. We're gonna look at it and... Oh, is that TDS? Hey, I like TDS. Dude, I'm so shaggy. Like, my hair is as, like, longer than I think it's ever been. My mustache is way overgrown. But I can't cut it because I'm waiting for a barber's appointment. I never have barber's appointments, and it's just exciting. I'm gonna look really nice. I'm gonna take a professional headshot afterwards, like, but it means I have to suffer through another week of just, like, extremely overgrown facial hair. Okay, so this occurred on May 5th. Oh, is this... Uh-oh, they've updated to Season 13. I'm trying to figure out which patch this... yeah, I'm trying to figure out which patch this is. March 30th, so it's later than that. Oh, wait, May 7th? Hold on, isn't this... May 5th. Isn't this 12.8? This is 12.8, right? Because it should be MSI patch. April 20... Yeah. So they're absolutely playing on MSI patch, 12.8. Okay. And we can even see the dominance of aggro. We can see a Xerath locked in. Small on your back. Yeah, I don't actually care that my hair itself is long. I like long hair. I like how my hair looks. It's just the mustache. Like, Like, it's getting in my mouth. Like, there's a reason I usually shave it off. There's a reason I usually silence this before my stream starts. Ugh. Okay, let's skip ahead. Again, we're not really... We're looking at a very, very, very aggressive jungle matchup. And if I can remember correctly, this was like... I mean, Trundle was like... I'm trying to remember how it went. If Trundle was the one champion who could go toe-to-toe with Volibear, or if it was vice versa. Or Volibear was like the one who could go toe-to-toe with Trundle. Because like this might have been that period where... How did that matchup go? How did that go? Because, I mean, this was definitely in that don't fight Volibear ever period, right? Where the counterplay to him was just Giga outscale him. Yeah, the Volley Trundle jungle matchup. I think this was the don't fight Volibear ever period, but Trundle kind of could. Trundle wins at exactly level 1. I see. I was like, he wouldn't get absolutely rolled over. Okay, so with that in mind, I mean, how much aggression are we going to see? We're trying to watch the junglers, right? We're trying to watch Volibear, we're trying to watch Trundle, we're trying to observe what they do, we're trying to speed it up a little bit. They're both on blue starts, and blue starts usually stifle level 3 plays a little bit. I mean, it is still possible to blue, Gromp, red, but then it gets really awkward. So both are beginning a full clear, but neither will necessarily finish a full clear. I'm a little... You know what? No, I'm not surprised that Trundle's pathing towards his Darius matchup if he, like, generally loses the 1v1 to Volibear. Volibear did actually make a slight deviation. Did he? Yeah, Volibear made a slight deviation of red first. Because he's watching lanes and, like, may have an opportunity... I mean, will he have an opportunity for Karma? Or he's, like, setting himself up for a more consistent early crab or something, because the crabs still spawned at 315 at this point. They're trading crabs. They're very avoidance. They're pathing to pushing lanes, so it's unlikely something will happen right away. And they just take their 4-minute recalls? Are they in sync? No, Volley's going for a funny lane gank, even though he's going to be late to his Gromp afterwards. Trundle's going for a gank too. Okay, so in this game 1, we saw both champions finish a full clear, then go for a gank, right? One game is not enough to establish a trend. But I guess I do have to wonder how many of them are very, very closely watching their lanes. Trundle starts... Okay, so Trundle starts Wolves up to Gromp. Doesn't actually finish. He's using this timer for Drake. Which was clearly his intention if he was pathing down anyway. Volibear knows, despite the lack of vision. So they're actually reading each other. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't a lack of vision, right? They didn't walk straight over a pink. But it's, like, reasonably expected where they are. Karma had absolutely no clue that was a possibility. Way too big. That's actually worth asking. Are the laners completely oblivious here? Karma, this particular Karma in this particular game clearly was. Not to say that there's a trend yet. But it's like... the junglers definitely have the basics of interacting with each other down, right? Both were clearing towards their pushing lanes. Both were trying to make a play, like when they're guaranteed not to see each other. When one went for the objective off his own lane advantage, the other responded with an invade, right? So they're used to the basic jungle fundamentals. How does Volibear set up his counter gank? That's important. So you're saying Darius can kind of get away with being oblivious. But I mean, that's not necessarily oblivious then, is it? It's just setting yourself up for success in the event that Volibear comes. Maybe just have no clue. Okay, hold on. Volibear's bot side camps are up. He's taking Scuttle. Trundle has no camps up because we've seen how grossly desynced his bot side got and his top side was stolen. So he's just taking Krugs. Takes a recall. How are the decisions made here? Volibear is, it looks like doing blue. Yep, he just did. Trundle is pathing down. Does Volibear skip camps? If he skips camps, he's F-keying. He does. Wait, what? Wait, no, hang on. Why would he come down here? This is not a gankable position for Trundle. In 99% of... Why is he here? Why is Trundle here? Why are either of them here? Wait, what the fuck? Huh? Why are either of them here? Okay, no, Volibear, it makes sense. Never mind. No, it's actually Trundle counter-ganking Volley. That's the situation that I'm missing. Because Volibear is coming here because he sees a bot lane in their most vulnerable position. This is just exposing the fact that I'm failing to recognize stuff like that, right? Which is why I'm in Platinum, but... We'll fix that this season. We'll fix me being in Plat this season for sure. That's my biggest regret from the last 3 years, guys. The fact that I pivoted so hard to theoretical knowledge that like all of my ability to play the game fell off a cliff and I did not actually rank up anymore. That's depressing. You want me in Masters this season? If I grind, I can probably make it. But like the problem is, again, I have the theoretical knowledge to make it to Masters. I just don't have the mental maps to access that knowledge properly in game. Right. So actually what's happening here is Volibear is in fact F-keying because he's spotting a potential gank opportunity. Trundle is here to counter gank because he's not got a very comfortable clear right now, so it's just the best thing for him to do, right? So maybe they are actually checking, but the way that it plays out is just completely goddamn random because... well, I guess, like... laners be funny. Meanwhile, Darius is just piss chilling, and it looks like that slow push. I mean, that is an orange slow push, right? With that many creeps. Trundle takes an invade. You know what? Bare minimum, though. This play right here is now telling. Platinum junglers do look for appropriate gank, counter gank opportunities. Darius Q one-shots waves. Well, I hope he's not one-shotting the wave in that position. I would 100% freeze on Ornn here. If that is, in fact, Ornn's slow push. And it is, yep. I feel like Stunna is a name I should know. Why should I know the name Stunna? Right, okay. Yeah, no, this is a doomsday scenario for Ornn, and I doubt Volibear. I mean, is Volibear capable of doing anything about that? How much are the junglers actually interacting with their laners' wave states in terms of fixing it? Well, it looks like Volibear is very concerned about killing that Karma. It's a band-aid fix that might generate a momentary herald opportunity if your mid lane is sorted out. So it might actually be worth doing, right? I guess the situation just develops again because Ornn can never properly interact. Okay, both of them showed up here, and Ornn is going to die. So let's actually see what Volibear's path was. Whoops. Volibear, after chasing away Karma and taking the crab, meanders around for a bit, encounters Trundle. Knowing Trundle is in the area with Karma having prio, decides to go do his Gromp. Then, knowing Trundle is in the area, goes to break Ornn's freeze. Except he's not doing that. He's just wandering and trying to lane gank or something. Like... And obviously knows it's doomed, so he just walks away. Especially with Karma having prio, yeah, so... Does he eat the wave? No, he's just running the wolves. Doesn't even eat the wave. I guess he's concerned about being dove by Darius. Skips it. No. He skips that to sprint to Drake? I mean, laner's not aware of this possibility, but the possibility is weird and unorthodox. It works for them. It does make sense to immediately try to trade objectives. But, like, it looks weird and unorthodox because, of course, his lanes have not established prio in that section yet. Like mid prio exists, but, like, bot prio isn't set up yet. Crazy ultimate to block Nautilus's escape. I'm remembering the performance of my team when it comes to entering rivers, and I'm now wondering if that generalizes because basically what I'm doing is I'm taking the mistakes that my team made, kind of assuming that we are general plat players, like, or at least like we were slightly subpar, but I think we did reasonably reflect the trends of the level that we were playing in before. Kind of. Basically, I'm saying that we always, like, made mistakes around river entry. Sorry, I'm just backing up a little more. Because I'm watching what Trundle does. Trundle immediately sprints it into his bot jungle. I guess to defend camps or something. Although he would never be able to win that camp defense. I'm now wondering with perfect information if they could have reinvaded and just left Volibear there, but obviously that's weird and unpredictable. I wish I could F key to the lanes. Like, I really want to know exactly what information both of these junglers have. Ah, top lane's doomed again. Oh, never mind. Darius was going for a crash and recall. Just... Maybe I needed to look at that a little longer, but it looked for a moment like Ornn was beginning a slow push again out of obligation. These replays have been gone for a long, long, long time. We have to take what we can get, right? All the leagues are starting back up soon-ish, like late January, early February. Wow, oh my god. What the fuck? Wait, but they clearly suspect something. Volibear suspects it too, given that he immediately runs into the enemy jungle and starts taking resources. Dude, laners are so oblivious about jungle here, aren't they? It's converted into kills somehow by Xerath, which is kind of amazing. Zillion lands a gorgeous bomb. I mean, but the expected outcome should just be bot lane loses all sums and no one dies. Oh, where does he even come from? That's funny. Caster's pointing out that a turret fell in the meantime. So... Okay. Again, all of the jungle fundamentals are clearly here, right? We have expressed that by the time you're at platinum level, you know the fundamentals. The things that you're missing are how your actions impact your teammates exactly, what your teammates need from you exactly, how to play against more specific situations, probably how to itemize against more specific situations, right? But we should kind of like refine that into, you know, the fundamentals of your role, right? I'm seeing the junglers actually generally understand where the other one is likely to be, what they can do in response to that. They're actually checking lanes and expecting certain ganks and counter ganks, which is very good. But I don't know if any of them are playing the matchup. That's the thing. I don't know if either of them are playing like their matchup, right? Squiggly Bob, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your time with us. I just, yeah, it's a really good one. I wish I could remember exactly how this went on MSI patch, like how this matchup went. Was this, what? Give me a moment. That's not how you spell that champion's name. When did Volibear receive his funny sequence of nerfs? Okay, so it was entirely post-durability update. So this was still Volibear when he was, like, considered to be generally pretty good in the jungle? Because this was, like... I need to find a better system for recording historical insights. Like... Actually, what did I say? Hold on. What did I say about this patch? I do have a system. Volibear was a big question mark. Biggest damage nerfs across all of his abilities. Biggest reduction on E% health damage and WAP ratio. Q loses 2% movement speed, which is 4% towards champions. I said it wasn't ultimately that bad, I guess. My expectation was that Volibear still stat checks everyone early game, but falls off faster, making him a noticeably weaker competitive pick, but I did not think at the time that his nerfs would be enough to remove him entirely from play. Being a champion that just explicitly falls off and doesn't provide, like, enough aggro value is a really damning property for theoretical play. He did fall off pretty fast after this, but I guess it does help us to remember that he was kind of a menace on the patch that this game was played, especially in lower levels of play, right? Especially in Platinum, Diamond, like... Don't they just hard win that, like, almost every time? I feel like Red actually loses solely because they waited for this second chomp. And, like, they're not in sync about how to attack this, right? Yeah, Volibear's at double mythic disadvantage in a 1v2. I guess Trundle just doesn't want to fight, like, with raw auto attacks. Yeah. But... because he's We're not here to judge anything. We're here to figure out what the tendencies are. Let me think. Okay, so again, we're going to frame this whole thing in the question of, am I allowed to blind pick Ivern in my tournament games? Because my current level of execution is this level of play, right? So it's a very personal question. It's one that I care about. And again, we've seen a lot of the fundamentals, but, like, the reason I'm trying to remember how the Volibear-Trundle matchup goes is I'm trying to determine if one or the other should be trying to aggress on the other more directly. They're really not, like... Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. Okay. I think these next few minutes are going to be really, really important. Trundle has an obvious lead. Wait, but lane phase has ended. It's early mid-game now. Trundle's farming his camps. Let's speed up to 2. Trundle's farming his camps. Hi, Paradox. Volibear's farming his camps. Trundle's recalling into an item. It's steel caps. I'm trying to figure out if both, like, if Trundle is just completely forgetting to... Oh, it's steel caps plus Bramble Spectre's Cowl. Interesting. I'm wondering if Trundle is just forgetting to use his advantage onto his direct 1v1. Right. It's on the Volibear to get something done because he's the one who falls off more drastically, right? But, like, was it Volibear's responsibility to get in Trundle's face early? Because I'm remembering that one of these champions was, like, the only way to fight the other. I just don't remember which way it was. But Trundle has more things that can fight him, right? Like, he's more susceptible to... stuff like Lilia. They spend time on Second Herald. They established some mid-prio. Karma took a while to rotate out. They trapped Jhin. They decided to go for Second Herald. I would rather go for a blue buff invade, if I'm being honest, than Second Herald. They're trying to use Second Herald to dive. Looks like it. Again, we're now absolutely sure that laners are oblivious. That's a good point. That's a good point. It is a very awkward game to have a Volibear. What's the response here? They're just trying to defend. Volibear doesn't have any ideas. I mean, Volibear is about to be useless very soon. It's just going to be a few more minutes, right? Trundle is definitely trying to exert his... He's trying to exert his lead in the sense that, like, they have numbers and he is playing for those numbers and pushing like that, but... I wonder if that is the difference maker between, like, Plat and Diamond Jungle. Just the ability to actually play your jungle matchup. And that would tie in with, like, specificity of the game. If specificity is Plat's weakness, right? Why does Karma have it? Good question. I've been so focused on jungle that I literally didn't notice. Whoops! I guess the rationale is, like, she's playing setup mage for Trundle and has, like, the flash W advantage to burn Xerath's flash, and, like, I don't know, but I think that must be, like, a form of the reason, but okay, what does Trundle do? Does Trundle go back to farming his own camps right away? No, he does path to a side of the map with no camps. He is playing for an objective. He is entering jungle, and they are playing for this Gromp, right? He's giving it to Jinx. But Trundle is skipping camps to play the map. Okay, good. I've pulled off a key again, so now I have to click out and slot it back in. Keep doing that. I know he shouldn't. I'm trying to make sure that they actually are paying attention to that. Right? If Trundle just defaults to his camps, then they're really, really not pressing it. But maybe it's now too late in the game for me to care. Because, again, jungle map... Okay, you know, it is definitely too late in the game for me to care. So we're going to skip forward. The reason I'm saying this, guys, is because we know that jungle matchups are, as a whole, the lowest influence matchup. But I now worry that it's becoming a no-influence matchup. You know, where it doesn't matter what the matchup is. Unless you have, like... Okay, hang on. No, because there's a difference here. There's a difference here. Let's go back to our main plot document, right? Interaction-based matchups don't matter, really. Archetype-based matchups or ranged matchups do. I wonder if this is entirely flipped on its head? Because, like... I mean, Platinum players can execute, like, the Gragas and Lee Sin interactions, right? Or, like, Gragas Kindred, or, like... Is that inverted for junglers? The mentality is that you can just ignore your jungle matchup by pathing the opposite way. Right, but then... Does that mean that early weakness goes unpunished in Platinum Jungle? I mean, we do not have the same matchup again. We have Gwen Trundle this time. Gwen is a champion that should be noticeably weaker in the early game, should require more time to farm, should give Trundle more opportunities to impact his lanes. Do we see split maps or invades? We're only on one game sample size of watching for this specific concept, but we didn't last. I mean, we saw junglers pathing opposite last game, and we are seeing junglers pathing opposite this game, where both of them are starting red. Now we'll see if that, like, because Gwen is immediately going red Krugs. Does Trundle go? Oh my fucking god, are you kidding me? Well, I mean, I guess that happens if you. I mean, when did he make this decision? Did he start pathing before Wukong hit? No, they were already planning. Kennen tried to pull the wave. This is cheesy. They did it because the enemy top laner has no flash on Wukong for some reason. Um, which ultimately does. Gwen is taking the invade because Trundle is now. Okay, but is that a jungle matchup thing, or is that? Because initially we were saying, yeah, Trundle should try to make more stuff happen on the map while Gwen is at her weakest. Because Trundle will eventually be outscaled here, and Gwen has Enchanter partner, right? It makes sense. But is he now just doing this because the Wukong is flashless, like, and won't have W? That's kind of what I think. It's not a jungle matchup thing. I think it's an, oh my god, this top laner's griefing thing. Like, at the end of the day, that didn't even get a significant advantage, and Trundle stumbled into his second kill, and Gwen got his entire bot side, and Trundle's not invading, right? Hi, Zolo, how are you doing? Right, but the Wukong hadn't started trading heavily. The Wukong hadn't yet started trading heavily by the time Trundle made the decision to path up there. Gwen is, like, way stronger in the moment. Gwen has all of her camps up. He saw E-Start. Is that not standard for top lane Wukong? Like, just to try to generate a shove? I guess it's also your best bet for skirmishing, level 1. See, like my problem is I think you're giving Trundle a little too much credit, because I really think it's as simple like, because we saw the setup before anything happened. We saw Kennen start to pull before anything happened, probably because of this flashless thing. Like, which again clearly telegraphs that these players aren't stupid, right? No, none of these players are stupid. But that would have occurred regardless of what champion Gwen was playing then. And Gwen with no, like the farm gap is ridiculous. It is a miracle for Trundle that Karma gave him a kill. The right team keeps trying to draft poke. Is that common? No, and in fact, I think it's a pretty poor strategy at this level of play. Bare minimum, they're playing hybrid siege, not actual siege. I think you can play hybrid siege. That's allowed. But, like, if you were trying to play proper siege, I think that almost never works here. Okay, we need to back up and start watching jungle again. Jungle pathing. Gwen doesn't find anything bot lane. She is shadowing to make sure her vulnerable lane is safe while she has no responsibilities. She's taking a crab. They are fishing for an invade because they don't have information on where Trundle is. Which does mean that Gwen technically may have missed a recall, but it might be okay. I knew I should have. Okay, I knew I should have known his name from somewhere. So if you know it too, perfect. I read Stunna and I'm like, I know this guy. Why do I know this guy? Like. They both played in Victoria. Okay, that's why we know Stunna. That's why. Okay. Gotcha. This is APL. This one is Aegis. That's why we know Stunna. Oh, yeah. Was Stunna active in Banter? Because I never signed up for Banter roles. I mean, the way Gwen closes out her lead is by continuing to outpace Trundle in terms of farm, right? Like, she's not pressured to do anything at all. It's Trundle who is. And Trundle's decision is usually made when you're trying to exert your lead, but he ends up getting caught. Yes, he does. Talked in VRS chat, too. Yeah, he level 1 ganked and did not come away with enough of an advantage. Gwen punished correctly. Is it actually easier to play the power farmer then? Because the power farmer is more fundamentals based? Is that even true? Is that even a true statement? Like, maybe this particular game just got weird, right? Maybe this game just got weird because we had a very unorthodox opener. Let's skip ahead to game 3 then. We need to see, like, level 1. So it looks like Gwen won the game. We now have a Shyvana-Viego matchup. A matchup in which, I mean, we are definitely expecting a lot more early farming. Viego is the one who has more agency in early lanes. Shyvana's not a champion who, like, can't peel off. We like violence, Paradox. We like killing. It's fun. So. I actually think that's not inherently a mistake. I need to feel out that opinion a little more. Brutal matchup for Wukong, though, no? Jungle gaming. We are gaming. Hang on. Did they start same sides? They started same sides. They're both power farming. Viego is currently faster. We actually get to see how they play out same side interaction. Do we know who wins in this 1v1? Because I'm trying to observe how everyone's playing their direct jungle 1v1, but I don't actually know the outcome of this. Oh, Viego appears faster because Shyvana took Krugs in Season 12. Viego recalls for Bot Crab, not seeing any opportunities. Mordekaiser's now in a vulnerable position. Where was he, like, when Viego declared his recall? It looks like Wukong is... that just met, right? That's Mordekaiser's slow push, then. That's Mordekaiser's slow push on same sides. If I knew how the Shyvana-Viego duel went, then, like, maybe that's not just explicitly a mistake, but I feel like... I mean, does Mordekaiser have enough minions to take the 1v2? Is that being thought about? I mean, this is pre-nerf Viego, right? The ratio of combat sums versus... Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess it is. Taking a 2v2 against one team with TP and one team with Ignite, isn't it? While the Shyvana may actually just have more early stats than the Viego if they can get into combat. Viego may have more playmaking potential, but that doesn't mean he's favored in terms of stats, right? And he does actually take a pretty reasonable farm punish, but like, if this is pre-nerf Viego, then Viego's econ doesn't matter. To a degree, like you get first item and then you don't really care anymore. Okay. You know what the problem is? I can't find weird matchups. I want somebody to lock in Rammus. Does anyone have a Rammus VOD for me? Like, does anyone have a Rammus VOD or an Ivern VOD or like a Fiddle thing or like just something unorthodox, like a Shaco? Does anyone have a Shaco VOD from Platinum level? Like, Hayden played Karthus. Even Karthus is almost too standard, right? Like, you know what? No, okay, because like there are games. No, Karthus is too strong early, which is a funny thing to say, but like because it goes so against what everyone would think conventionally. But no, Karthus, if given the perfect opportunity, actually can decide to stop power farming and play the game a little more. Decision making full clear. Usually yes, but I mean, like even Evelyn has situations in which she should play for a level 3 counter gank, right? Like, I need an Ivern. I need specifically an Ivern, and I can't wait for my personal experience. Because what's going to happen is if I wait for personal experience before understanding like the theory of Platinum play here, then I'm gonna pick Ivern in my games, and I'm gonna have to learn the hard way. We have a skirmish that breaks out here. Over what? In what context? Shyvana playing for the Drake. They're trying. Like, they do have bot shove, but Jinx gets into the river first. Karma not present. Fight breaks out too early. This is just a numbers thing, not any direct jungle 1v1 interaction that isn't based on fundamentals. Like, okay, so I mean, if one champion is counter ganking for the other, then even if the ganker has favorable interactions, they've probably already blown their cooldowns. So interaction based matchups don't matter in a counter gank scenario. How did Shiv get both an econ lead and a kill lead? Because it wasn't just top. Hayden having a Panth game might actually be kind of cool. Actually, maybe we should watch that then. Maybe we should watch how, like, a pure aggro champion. Rough and one-sided? Ooh. Maybe not then. I was gonna see if, like, how does... Wait, no, maybe that's good. Maybe it's good to watch some mistakes. Because, like, again, maybe it demonstrates some trends in how things play out. So even though we theorized that Shyvana does out-stat check Viego, you know, counter gank advantage comes in clutch there. One second. Yeah, and it's like you can't, I mean, like, so if we were talking about just regular play, right? Regular pro play, I would be able to find all the Ivern games I want, right? I just click Ivern. And boom. Paradox, what team did Rebecca play for? She played Ivern, right? I could watch. Yeah, I could. For VRS, we're unsure. Damn. Okay, but like maybe a VRD game came in, because like I really want to see if somebody gave her Ivern and then actually capitalized on the weirdness of that champion by just making shit happen while he couldn't answer. Interesting. Okay, so I have messaged my old teammate. I've messaged Ravensman, who was our jungler in last split's VRS. And he role swapped because he wasn't necessarily playing like the full scope of jungle. But I asked him, how often did you feel that you were barely interacting with the other jungler? He said, very often. Very, very, very often. I would never put Ben on Ivern. Hell no. That would not work. You put like... No. That wouldn't work. Yeah, Declo, they actually are quite... Look. Actually, I can find an Ivern... Okay, this is just the most random Ivern support I've ever seen. It went 0-10-10. Funny. But there is, I think, somewhere in here an Ivern... Okay, an Ivern Leona, sure, I guess, is a thing for some reason. Where's the Ivern Rengar bot lane? Here it is. It lost, but... Okay, and, now I've asked a follow-up question. I asked, did you ever find a gank angle that only existed because you knew for sure that the enemy would be power farming? She did play a game of Ivern. Fuck, okay, let's see if we can find it. Let's see if it actually exists. Where's Victoris? Do you know what weak Paradox? I'm gonna try to pull up the master sheet myself. I hate that we're gonna get a sample size of 1, but it's better than a sample size of 0, so. Stats. Found in the match history, yeah. Actually, yeah, let me just go through the match history myself. Oh, Lord. Here, I'll just put it up here. Why not? Oh, boy, guys. Discord. Hounds versus Grizzlies. And it was like early. When she was still playing. That's Hornets versus Grizzlies. I just clicked for some reason. This is... Wait, I just clicked... Yeah, Hornets versus Wolves. 906. So a while ago. 906. Hounds versus Grizzlies. There it is. There's an Ivern game. And this was... Which week? That's week 1. That's week 1. Okay. Was that ever streamed? Schedule. Hounds, Rhinos. Damn! No, there's no footage of it. There's no footage. Okay. So we don't get that. There's no footage. And so I just got an answer back from Ben, as you guys saw in the corner. Again, I asked, did you ever find a gank angle that only existed because you knew for sure the enemy would be power farming? He says, to be honest, no. No, he did not. That never happened for him. That's not to say that never happened for any junglers at this level. But, like, I guess, like, is Ivern the only champion that's susceptible to, like, that sort of thing? That sort of game warping? And, like, we know that people are finding invades because they know for sure that their enemies will go for early ganks. Very close. But it's almost scary to be okay, it's almost scary to be completely incapable of, like, responding to early chaos. And yeah, that is why, that's another factor as to why so much early chaos works. The laners just don't know jungle fundamentals. And when I play lane again, when I go back to support, my jungle tracking plummets because my mental stack is now filled up with other stuff. That's a very defining feature of Platinum. It's just, we struggle with our mental stacks. That's so interesting. Like, that is, yeah, okay. Hang on, how does this thing start now? Okay, so Viego is killed, and in response, Shyvana sets up a cross-map dive, and it does get foiled by Zilean for a while. Yeah, it should be red favored in the end. And Jinx should be able to salvage her lane by farming mid, right? Which she noticed, but was pathing to bot initially. Must be. This is patch 12.8. This is the MSI patch. This is from May. But the footage is still valuable for what we're learning today, right? Because the fundamentals of how levels of play work don't change. In fact, the patch notes are probably not that impactful for most players, now that I think about it. It's only the very basics that do. Or it's like only the really big sweeping changes, like new champs, new systems, new, like dramatically power shifting changes. And yeah, now we're just defaulting to grouping up as a team and fighting with the team. I want to see what Stunna was going for when he tried to kill Wukong, because that could be telling as to what the mindset is here. Is that death number 2 or death number 3? I think it was number 3. Yeah, it was number 3. Yeah, and it was immediately before this. Is Shyvana's position known, or is this just a reasonable prediction? It's known. They're pinging. Even if it is just a reasonable prediction, they do know. And now they're certain. Because she walks over that Drake ward. So he's not actually trying to exert his lead on any champion. He's just trying to counter jungle. Okay, this is just an aside, and I really should not be telling you guys this on stream, but I've been working on my B1 candidate list for my own competitive team this season, and I am going to restore Ivor into the list and just kind of think about how that might go, because I really am starting to believe that what punishes Ivern will not occur at this level of play. I mean, it's also not consistent, right? If you have to make a play happen while Ivern can't. If they pick Knife Cat, that's a different story. That's a different story. That one's different. Do you know of any teams looking for support? Tragically, Zolo, I do not. You have to remember that before this year, I was very disconnected from the greater amateur scene. Like, I kind of stayed in my lane. I kind of just focused on myself. Like, I was a little hesitant to engage, right? I'm going to try to fix that this year, and I'm going to try to meet a lot more people and, like, talk to people. But the consequence is that I really don't know any other teams. so I don't have any, I don't have anyone looking. That also involves talking to League players. Well, I mean, like, look, yes, gross, but there are League players out there who are just looking for people to enjoy the game with and who aren't going to be, like, League players. You know what I mean? Like, there are definitely enough of us out there that just want to enjoy the game for what it is with other people who aren't going to be, like, dicks. So... And those are the people I want to talk to. So. Oh, we're having a YouTube moment. Let's slow it down a bit. Actually, we're 20 minutes in. We need to find a new game. I assume Bing Chillers actually wins this one, right? And it goes to 4? It does. In this next game, which which is not going to fully load. Actually, it's just not playing. Look like a hard refresh might not be necessary yet in this game. Kindred Trundle. Ooh, fun. So Kindred favored. Assuming that Trundle doesn't, like, generate perfect catches. We have Vayne in the game, which is wild. You like that amateur leagues like these exist to try to learn more champs, even if that's the wrong way to gain it. Well, look. Here's the thing. It's the wrong way to climb, and gain elo, but gaining elo isn't the only way to learn, right? Yes, it is easier to learn the entire game by playing one champion. It is much, much easier to learn how the actual game works by dedicating yourself to one champion, and I've experienced that myself. Like, there's been periods where I've one-tricked a little bit, and I've realized, oh my god, it's so much easier to solve problems, because, like, my champion occupies none of my mental stack. But when you get experiences in an amateur league like this, you're just learning different things, right? You may not be learning... Like, you're not going to be improving to the same degree, or like you won't be improving the same skill sets, but you will be learning how to adapt to different roles on a team. You will be learning how to communicate, right? How to adapt to and understand what your teammates need. Like, it is cool, and I think everyone should get the chance to experience something like this. But there is still quite a lot of value in the, like, solo queue 2-champion methodology, right? Okay, that's interesting. Oh, and of course that would be a thing that happens. So, we mentioned last week, when we were doing the study, that late invades trip up platinum players a lot, because they view it as cheese, and anything they view as cheese is not accounted for and works, and it's frustrating. But I didn't think about how that plays into, like, the actual jungle matchup, too, right? Like, I didn't consider that is an area in which your jungle matchup matters. Because some teams will look for the late invades properly. Actually, how could they have prevented that? Oh, you exposed yourself to the late invade by 5-stacking this tri-bush. No! Okay, I mean... There was absolutely no advance warning, and... Granted, it is the draft that generally exposes you to a late invade, but with zero... Like, it only actually accomplishes something insane if you have no advance notice, and... Damn. So, Paradox, I think I would like to watch that Xin Zhao game. I think that would be good. Would it not be fine for Kindred to start enemy red anyways? Starting enemy buffs is weird. Because on paper, there is always a sequence. Like, okay, the only time where there is no sequence in which the champion who got invaded can do anything about it is if that champion is a really, really pure power farmer with literally 0 lane impact. If Kindred starts enemy red, there is a universe, like, the only way to actually confirm a lead off that is if Kindred then chooses to defend their own camps, right? Or I guess there's, like, a sequence where you, like, red Raptor's own blue, like, bot gank or something. But, like, the most common line is to try to defend your own camps and stuff. And Trundle, once detecting that, can be aware of it, can know he has, like, completely uninterrupted access to lanes, can start impacting stuff like that. Like, I guess you could have turned this into a vertical situation, like this is Season 12, this footage. You could have anticipated that the enemy would know you're there and, like... But if you believe you are weaker at level 1... But you can't really be weaker at level 1 when the enemy has a Vayne. Right? Trundle level 1 is kind of spooky. I don't have all the variables. I just don't know how to read those lines properly. Thank you, Paradox. I'm going to refresh this. This is causing problems now. Based. That was creative. Didn't work, but it was creative. You want to say they don't understand why they're taking what sums? Is that bad? That might not be a bad thing to say, but it's also not necessarily an exploitable property. As not on a strategic level, at least. Like, we can adapt to that in game, but we can't plan around that. We can't make draft decisions around that. We can't, like, yeah. And that's pretty much what I'm trying to understand the most. Like, wasn't this Graves at his most annoying? Like, but I guess Graves at his most annoying wasn't necessarily murdering you. It was just generating permanent prio, generating, like, a significant econ lead, like, getting to his strongest points really, really fast. Actually, I just want to skip straight to the Xinjiao game. This is... Okay, here we go. This is actually pretty late in the game. And you guys won. Good job. Okay. We have a Xinjiao versus Hecarim, what am I saying? Xinjiao versus Trundle game. We have... What patch is this? What time? I mean, this is... Probably this season, right? Like, recently? Yeah, 2 months ago. Okay. So this is Xinjiao on... 12/21 or 12/22 or something like that, which I think was after he got his buffs back up. That's just a... Yeah. 12/21 is when he got his AD ratio increased, and so you guys were probably trying him again. This is a revert of a very low impact nerf. Yeah, that's right. So he does scale a little bit better, but at the end of the day, the champion still is looking for early skirmishes. He is supported by a Soraka, so you do have the Xinjiao plus Enchanter synergy. And let's see what the decisions are. The junglers start opposite. Ooh, is Hayden doing a red-blue Gromp? Ew. Oh, he's doing it for the sake of double camping, I guess. Maybe, but it does open up the Raptors to an invade once he's shown. It ends up being a reverse clear. Yeah, for a top dive. Does Trundle because Trundle should know instantaneously that Raptors are up after seeing that. Because it's Trundle, he's going to play for the aggressive play. Oh my goodness, this game's bloody. What was the path again? Enemy Krugs directly into top? Like second redive? Or it's like first dive didn't work? Yeah, I didn't actually notice that he didn't execute the first dive. And now you go for Raptors, right? No? No. Would it have even been a good idea for him to try to go for that punish? Like, oh, immediate regank down here. So what, Trundle respawns. Does he check Krugs? No, he does not. Goes for a ward, goes for Raptors. Doesn't care about Krugs. Probably knows they're gone. In that case, why didn't he go for Raptors? Because the most likely line would have been Shinjao, Krav Recall, stuff like that, right? I'm just trying to check for Shinjao again in the meantime. Definitely feels bad that Wolf and Gromp timer were desynced here, but because I feel it would have been completely reasonable. Like, the timer wouldn't have changed to go Wolves, Gromp, then buy, run straight up top, go for this play anyway, right? But yeah, again, we're not like, we're just trying to see what the general mindset is. And this game has gone full split map at this point. Which makes sense, because it's not like either Vladimir or Zillion are going to do anything about what's happening on the map, right? Those are some cool champions you have there in the mid lane. That's awesome. No, I respect that a lot. Cold start Vladimir, that's so cool. That's underused on mages, I think. Now that I think about it, like, it's just a funny little econ cheat. Oh, we're going down to like 480p for fun. I mean, yeah, I'm just watching both jungle. Why is Olaf still contesting this? Okay, no, it's absolutely confirmed. At this level of play, laners are absolutely clueless as to what goes on in the jungle. Yeah, because that makes sense, though. Those aren't the fundamentals they've had to learn. Those are not what they've had to learn to progress this far. That's a desperate gank. Oh, hang on. The split map is ending. Are we rotating Singed into the Mountain Drake? Is that what's happening? Singed does not have TP, and so it would probably be a bad idea, especially 1 minute out from the Drake. But it is spooky now to violate the split map. Well, excuse me. Shin definitely is slightly stronger now since Trundle took that detour into Tiamat. Although the Tiamat probably is roughly equivalent to a Caulfield's, isn't it? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just saying without thinking. Olaf will never kill Vladimir here. Guys, have we seen at any point an invade for combat outside of that late invade level 1? Because the answer is no, right? I can remember exactly one... Nice room, Paradox. I can remember exactly one situation in which a jungler invaded for combat. And it's when lanes had the most obvious prio to work with. If lanes had the most obvious prio known to man, then junglers might invade, like, with their support for the purpose of killing somebody. And there was, like, one team I can remember where the jungler, like, actually took really smart direct jungle 1v1s. But that was definitely the exception and not the rule. And I wonder if that... I actually now wonder if that was their exception player who was, like, probably deserving of being in Diamond Play or something, but... Junglers are handshaking a lot. Well, in this case, actually, now we're 15 minutes in, Xinjiang makes an attempt to uncross-map this a bit. I guess Camcom got caught before anything could happen, though. Had a bad time. Just got antsy because it's a blue push, right? Yeah. Ooh, what's happening here? What's happening here? What's happening with the steel caps on Soraka? I just think steel caps are so grossly overrated, and the only time I find them getting consistent value is if you are a top laner in a 1v1. I guess sometimes junglers can find value with it too if you're like an exceptionally durable champion, but like... And I guess there has been talk about some 80 carries actually finding value. Okay, you know, I think the real answer is somewhere in between. Where for a long... Yeah, because like for a long time I was saying this item is actually pretty bad, and then I experienced some more top lane gameplay and realized it has merit, and I think I swung back a little too hard on my old opinion to balance that out, but maybe it's like... Samira, yeah, but Samira has weird... Like, look, Samira has such weird itemization quirks that the collector actually maths out to the correct option. On like... There's something wrong with that champion, okay? Like, we just... Yeah, Lucidity is much better for Soraka, and she would almost in every circumstance rather not even have her boots this early. Soraka is a very, very pure Mythic Rush champion. See, Renata likes the Lucidity boot rush, because Renata's a weirdo and doesn't follow Enchanter rules because her items have virtually no value. But, like, as a general rule of Enchanters, you should be trying to rush your Mythic and just accept tier 1 boots for a while. So it just feels bad that Soraka felt pressured to go all the way into steel caps. And yeah, now we're properly like in, I mean, towers around, yeah, we're probably in mid game now, so the value of jungle matchups has probably gone down. Although I guess we should look for like some interaction based stuff in team fights. And Misfortune. Reduce the damage on Berserk. Yeah. Based death cap enjoyer? Actually, hang on. Did anyone hit 50 MR? Paradox, this is just like a itemization note I've been studying, but I think it's a mistake to go Void Staff second in this context if nobody is actually hitting a completed MR item. Like, you're only really getting value on this against Trundle. And so I think Death Cap second is unironically correct on Vladimir. I guess if you intend to kill Olaf, like maybe you could reasonably predict this Hex Drinker, so maybe the Void Staff becomes useful again, but doesn't it equal to true damage at a certain point? Well, Void is percent reduction though. Void can't ever like take you. You have the Sork Shoes. Where's the math? Hold on. I don't think I'm allowed to actually show the graphs that I have right now. Because it was sent to me by one of my patrons, and I think it's like some proprietary work, so I don't want to like leak it. But when do you actually hit true damage? Void plus flat. The champion must have, if you have Void Staff plus 18 M-Pen from Sork Shoes, only 30 MR for it to actually equate to true damage. And a 50 MR target, I guess it's still only like 10% effective there, but like it's 10% damage reduction. 50 MR is the breakpoint for Shadow Flame outperforming, or sorry, 50 MR is the breakpoint for Void Staff outperforming Shadow Flame in terms of raw pen. But then I mean really it should be 68 M pen is the breakpoint because of Sork Shoes. Yeah, no, it's probably... I still think it sounds like it's too early for a Void Staff. And, like, do you really care about the difference between 10% reduction and 0% reduction when your champion's ratios are, like, giga-based, right? I'm planning on releasing a full thing about mage itemization at some point. I've spent, like, most of my morning studying that, so... building on that. But, yeah, I found the only circumstance in which Void Second actually feels good, now that I am properly factoring in the difference between Shadow Flame AP and Alternator, the only situation in which it's actually probably worth it is if your direct squishy targets can justify a full completed magic resist item by the time your Void is done. Otherwise, it's hard to argue for best in slot Void Second. You're assuming Olaf and Xayah were going to do Hex soon? Well, if you were assuming that, then that actually is a good reason to build Void. But maybe you're giving them too much credit because we're platinum. So we just do the funny hat. Xayah probably would finish her 3-item core before deviating into something. Xayah probably would only build... You're right. Xayah probably would only build a Hex Drinker, like, if she was laning against direct magic damage. That would be compelling enough to deviate from her core. Yeah, and so that's actually another argument for Void Third. Like, at the end of the day, you're still going to have the right sequence of 3 items, or you're still going to have the right combination of 3 items, but, like, I think the sequence might have been wrong. Either way, we're approaching the end of the game, and like what we saw early was like junglers very willing to handshake. So like let's start trying to draw some conclusions then. Now that we've watched a few games. So okay, laners are definitely oblivious as to what junglers are doing. 100% oblivious. They have no idea. They don't get it. We've seen laners walk directly into danger so many times. There's like because we talked about the general tendency to defer responsibility a little bit in Platinum. There's definitely this idea that laners should be communicating to junglers what their lane states are, and the junglers aren't going to know, and in return, the junglers are going to track each other for you. That definitely exists. There is a lot of handshaking, while junglers at this level definitely have the fundamentals to respond properly to enemy ganks and can foresee counter gank opportunities. They are consistently lacking the ability to make the enemy junglers life hell with an advantage. We never see junglers shoving lanes solely for invade tempo. That hasn't happened yet. We do see that. I think we probably see this a little bit for objectives. Actually, have we? We haven't seen it. We haven't seen junglers shoving lanes solely for Drake tempo, but I'm sure this one does occur sometimes. The only direct jungle versus jungle interaction I've seen is on late invades or actual skirmishes. Crab fights have been avoided in our sample footage. But our sample footage so far has been solely strong early versus strong early. No, it hasn't, because we had that Gwen versus Trundle game. And that Gwen was properly, like, that Gwen used proper avoidant pathing, and yeah. Declo, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your time with us. There it is. I was confused for a second. I heard the sound. I looked over. There's no notification on my bit. And I'm like, brain implosion? But I appreciate it. The ability to take very consistent kill invades hinges on the ability to generate information. But given that synchronization issues are common here, and that the vision game can be lacking, I wonder if everyone is just anxious to take an extreme risk. Like, this is what happens. Yeah, this is what happens. It's you start to study the game. It's like, oh boy, I want to play League now, and then you play solo queue, and it's the worst experience you've ever had, and then you don't want to play League anymore. So, I mean, I'm definitely lacking this skill for sure. I am definitely lacking this skill. Most platinum junglers are lacking this skill. Again, I've seen this over the last, like, 6 months of competing. I've seen this once, right? Good, good. You should try to play with friends. Like, play with friends, play in Flex, play in Clash. And solo queue, you only play solo queue if you're muting everybody and you're, like, you're on, like, this really focused, like, improvement regimen to, like, learn a champion or develop your skills or something like that. Solo queue is never the goal. The goal that you should never have like explicit solo queue rank goals. Your goal should be to learn something or figure out your next steps or something. And then the game doesn't suck. Because the game itself is great. Really great. Really, 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 really fantastic. It's the people. And I have to jungle now. Oh, I'm gonna be verbally abused so much. No! That's okay. Yeah. we're learning Bard. Ranked was very fun. It is fun. It is fun like that. Or it's like when I was learning Sejuani and my win rate was like 40% because I was playing Sejuani support and didn't know how it worked yet. It was still so much fun. Get your mid laner and play Karma, Galio. You play, dude. Karma Hecarim is so busted right now. It is not okay. I need to get the proper like. Heck, Yuumi. Where's the Yuumi mids? Hey, do you think we can get away with Yuumi top? Do you think there are situations for it? I mean, we've... I've found Renata top matchups. They do exist. The Pro Show match, yeah. I mean, that was not a serious match. But... there are so many, like, broken utility champions that just make some junglers the most ungodly, disgustingly powerful thing you've ever seen. What if Yuumi into Fiora? He was beating... oh my goodness. The power of ranged top, I guess. Like, it's just... even Yuumi does it. Paradox, I think your jungler might be a psychopath. I'm just remembering my own Grand Finals match, right? He was my jungler for Grand Finals, VRD. He's like, this man just flashes under a turret, level 1 on a foiled early invade. Like, maniac player, but so much fun to play with, but maniac player. Yeah, that's true, which is why I'm glad. I have a bronze mid laner that I'm training. And I've set him up with like a really simple pool, which includes easy mages like Nico and Ziggs, but I've also got him enjoying like the utility picks like Karma and Ornn. And I'm just saying, like, this is going to make you such a well-rounded player to have the ability to carry and to enable all in a very similar, simple to understand pool. Like, well, the Ornn is not similar, but you know, just integrate Karma into your regular mage rotation, and then level 2, game 3 of a series, you flashed onto Ziggs. Oh god, that's so funny. That's so funny. Manfred's a good Seraphine. Look, I respect bot lane players who are not afraid to bust out mages. Or like melees or something. Like there are so many bot lane players who just say like, I'm an 80 carry, that's all I play, and it's so limiting. It's so limiting. Can't you do it again with current state Syndra? Now that she's a little less level reliant? Now that she's actually just generating power off splinters? I mean, I've even seen people experimenting with Syndra's support again. Like, I think you probably can. I was really against it when she first got reworked. Because I just thought the most consistent way to generate the splinters still was levels. You could argue there's more opportunities for splinters, but practically you probably shouldn't be wasting your QE combo in a 2v2. Like, you can QW something, and then you're not, like, really getting more opportunities because you're still bound to the same cooldowns, kind of. Like, I don't know. I haven't explored the concept properly yet. I don't want to, like, share completely unfounded ideas with you guys. All I can say is that I have seen people experimenting with it, and it does seem to be gaining more success. Like, it does seem to be enjoying more success than I initially predicted, but it's very clearly not dominating. There's just a Xayah rage quit. Like, even in the most extreme example of, like, early aggression versus early aggression. It's still avoidant pathing. Is there? Wow, shows how much I know about current state Syndra. Let's take a look. Maybe you're right. Well, it's not that you don't want to waste QE because, like, you're going to run or you're going to run out of cooldowns or something. It's because you might expose yourself to some dangerous matchups. Ah, she does. Wow. Whoops, I had no idea. There's always these tiny little properties of champions you don't play that you just completely forget about. If you want to be, like, the most giga-based bot lane player imaginable, Cho'Gath ADC is the play. That's the fun one. I will not elaborate. If you're a churchgoer, you can do a Sapphire start on Syndra for early Lost chapters. So you can, yeah, Syndra could probably do that one. I would probably treat it like Longsword 3-pot start, like probably exactly the same now that I think about it. In that you would not, in the bot lane, you would not do that into certain kill matchups early because the 80 health from Doran's ring would make a difference. There's my Mal's APC. God. Look, I'm a bit radical in what strategies I try, but really? Malzahar 80 carry? What does Malzahar bot lane contribute to the game? Yeah, me too. I love, look. Yeah, Mal's Senna. Okay, I will explore that. I'll give you that. Wait, where am I going? Look, I'm a Mal's enjoyer too, guys. Look, like, I get it. Everyone, like, I love this champ. That would have to be an answer to lanes that scale to 6. I do not believe Senna alone covers pre-6 Malzahar enough to defend him against aggro lanes. She does. I think she's awesome. I tried Senna Sejuani once. That one doesn't work very well, unless the enemy is very melee. No, I will not change your mind because you're right. You are factually right. Callista Nico, Callista Silas, Callista Swain, Callista Rumble. That's the holy quadrinity of weird Callista supports that actually use her power properly. Okay, now we're getting extreme. That's cool, though. But, like, Illaoi doesn't as directly compensate for Callista's damage after she started to fall off. You throw in Illaoi so she can... Okay, it's just a funny one. I like that one. Callista ain't the king. So is Illaoi farming? Senna Wukong is cool. Senna Yasuo is cool. Senna Nasus is cool. I do like Senna Nasus a lot. What else, like, consistently survives, scales, like, regens, stuff like that? Challenger. Wait a minute. You're the guy who played a Yasuo Yone bot lane in my exhibition game. I don't think... I think maybe your bot lanes might be for fun. I think maybe you're proposing some for fun bot lanes here that don't really have a lot of strategic merit. No, but the Callista Nico is based. That one absolutely should work. They can be both for fun and for win. Kind of, yeah, I mean, some of them are. Some of them are just... I love the intersection between silly and, like, really functional. Senna Vagar makes sense. I like that one. Oh, Illaoi with Senna or Vagar is what you're saying. Vagar APC, I understand why it isn't used at all. It's because his last set of nerfs, like, gimped his base armor by a lot. So the lane phase is actually pretty vulnerable. But if you find a nice scaling matchup, it's still pretty good. I blew some casters' minds once because I W-maxed Zilean in a comp game. It was a game with like playoffs implication. I mean, I think it was literally I think it was literally semifinals, right? Yeah, it was semifinals. It was against Paradox. Oh, no. Paradox was finals. Duh. Like, dummy. But, yeah, but no, I maxed W for just permanent E uptime for my Vayne. And Zilean Vayne, not a good lane. Like, don't pick it. But, have I tried E-max Zilean? I honestly don't love full maxing Zilean E, because then you have to contend with, like, soft move speed caps. That is funny. That's a lot of speed. We are so distracted, guys. We are so beyond distracted. I'm going to get some water. I'm going to use the washroom. I will be right back. We're going to try to pivot back to our main topic when I come back. All right. Okay. So there's still a few more things we need to look at. There's still a few more things that we need to investigate before we can kind of put a nice little bow on this topic. I suspect that clear speed doesn't matter that much. Oh, excuse me. I suspect that clear speed doesn't matter too much because, well, we've never seen any race conditions where both junglers are same side pathing, full clearing, and like one jungler just clears so much faster than the other that they put the slower clearing jungler in an awkward position of having to skip a camp to counter gank at level 4 versus level 3 disadvantage. That's not something that we've seen so far. I need to see what happened. I need to try to find a low HP jungler. I need to see if clear health matters. or how much it matters, like to what degree it matters. Because if the junglers are really consistently taking avoidance paths and they're not interacting with each other and they're taking like cross maps, does that actually increase the value of like Talon or a Mumu or it's getting low these days. I guess Morgana's clear kind of sucks right now, so that's not a good example. But Shen based. Yeah, I can't comment on that one. Silas! Dude, Silas is so good right now, and his clear is not healthy. Right? Silas is easily getting, like, half health during his clears. Asol jungle. I'm not going to change your mind. You know what? You have fun. You have a good time. Well, everything technically works now. Everything can technically clear now. Brand is an interesting one. Yeah, no, Brand is a champion with one very, very, very clear moment of weakness, and it is 1-3. Where the enemy jungler just gets a tempo advantage every time, but then Brand immediately bolsters his clear back up. Weird. Every time that a team I've played on has drafted Rammus, it has never gone punished in terms of tempo. Unleash the turtle. Yeah, no, Rammus is definitely not as disgusting as he is at IBS level. But I mean, even here, junglers are so avoidant. Nobody's racing. Nobody's confident enough in their information that they're taking these plays that require 5 seconds advantage. Cassante jungle. I tried to make that one work on the PvE. I really did. I tried to make it work. It feels terrible. Mundo's first clear is unhealthy, isn't it? It is fast, yeah. I've done it wrong if it's... It's really fast, but really unhealthy, which means he reliably avoids direct interaction. And, like, Season 13 jungle, it's very hard to find a resource invade on first clear, but it is still possible to find a lethal invade on first clear. How healthy is Talia clear? Last I remember playing it, it was okay. It wasn't, like, extremely fast early. You could make it a lot... No, it was reasonably okay because of the stun rocks. Remember, like, Talia can stun twice during her clear. So Talia can stun once on Empowered Q on Worked Ground, and she can stun again on the WE later in the clear, right? I don't miss Camille jungle. I do, but I don't. Camille jungle's fun. I love it when more champions are jungle viable, but that one's gank potential was ridiculous. Okay, but, like, I want to try to find... I mean, let's even see... What did you guys play earlier in the series? At least should be more played at Platinum level. Kha'Zix is just slow, but that never goes punished. It is Maokai versus Xinjiao. What did you say? Hey, Syndra AP carry. In this game, right here. Exactly what we were talking about. Elise is genuinely very powerful in solo queue. Like, whenever I see Elise, I want to lay down in traffic. Yeah, we are Seraphine support dislikers in this chat. Wait, Bleedin wins this, no? Ooh! Ooh, the man! What do the junglers do? Let's observe more carefully instead of talking about her. Okay. Jungler's path, same sides. Xinjiao goes for the... I mean, we don't know exactly what's planned yet. Maokai is going for... Is this the proper 3 camp? Yes, proper 3 camp, Red Raptor's Gromp. Xinjiao is going 3 camp on same side and probably skipping. I'm a huge Maokai enjoyer. I am 100% abusing Maokai power right now. Maokai kind of meanders for a bit. For what per... Oh my god. He did the pit hop. He did the pit hop and did not get rewarded for it at all. Did you see that flash? That feels so bad. And then this, but dude, I remember now. Just like our team got memed so hard in VRD for running Senna Maokai bot lane, except my AD carry was the Maokai player. And our AD carry was like the best player on the team by far. It was Tank Maokai. I mean, he just wanted to play Maokai. That's it. That's what it was. We were 2-0 in the series. He wanted to play Maokai. So... No, we did not win, but it wasn't inherently Maokai's fault. It was the fact that we had Senna into a champion that required more tank busting. I think it was Olaf. Back to the jungle pathing, by the way. Maokai goes for the double crab. Xinjiao is immediately trying to contest him on it. Okay, no, we have a jungler who is explicitly trying to use early advantages and fight. And he barely lost over it. Because Syndra had more immediate impact than Swain, and Flash was down from the previous misplay. But had Flash been up, much better outcome. And yeah, okay. There are junglers who will try to exploit that then. Good. And of course that play never exists in the first place if Maokai recognizes what is about to happen. But, even so. I want to see in this game if Xinjiao ever full invades Maokai for a kill. I want to see that. Remember, it's season 12 Krugs, so we could reasonably see a Wolves Raptors invade here, assuming that Swain can maintain prio from this position, or it's going neutral. If he can generate prio, it could happen. Darius has. He's absolutely looking for it. but it is a lane-oriented invade. It's coming solely from prio with help, no surprise ambush kills, like, no. Very telegraphed. And ultimately unsuccessful. And he does keep going for this, like... Wow! Oops! Uh-oh. That didn't go as planned. I would imagine that Xin Zhao probably doesn't feel that a lead exists at this stage. And that Maokai may be too difficult to catch unaware and kill. But, like, at the same time, we now have to look at the flip side of this trend, right? Xin Zhao should be absolutely blowing early game Maokai out of the water. There realistically, without a lot of lane intervention, shouldn't be much Maokai can do about it if the two interact. Xin Zhao is generating opportunities into lanes sometimes before Maokai is able to respond, despite the fact that Maokai is trying to respond. But again, how much of that is just the weird Hex Flash setups? That was strange. He's so much fun to watch. It's just sacrifice play after sacrifice play after sacrifice play. He doesn't care. He doesn't... As long as it... as long as it generates some form of advantage, he's just killing himself. Like... Let me think. I'm closing my eyes now, so if something really funny happens, let me know. Well, my eyes are technically open, but... We had funny? Oh, we have funny. No, we didn't have funny. We didn't quite have funny. Oh, we had funny. Oh! Oh! Yeah, I'd say that's funny. Okay, so... I am detecting that every single invade at this level of play, except in that one situation that I've seen like 6 months ago. Every invade at this level of play is telegraphed, based on wave states, predictable, right? They're very fundamentally based invades. They're not specific enough to say, I'm invading you without prio because I know your champion is low health. They're not specific enough to say, I am going for, like, maniac contested ganks topside because I know you're always... Actually, no, let's watch the first gank one more time. Right? Or it's like the second one, or... No, because actually, gank number 2 on top lane is like almost this principle, actually. So like it is Xin Zhao trying to use a tempo advantage to just gank first on top lane, right? That was death number 3, was it? But that's not a clear speed advantage, that's a positioning advantage. That's Xin Zhao backing off from a failed invade, or like an invade, not a failed invade, but like a stifled invade. Spotting that Aatrox is pushing, takes Krugs in the meantime while waiting for this push, moves into position. Maokai's way too early setting up a dive. But, like, yeah, that's not a clear speed advantage. That's just a... Well, that's a Maokai has absolutely no business ganking this difference. Darius has no incentive to walk up to that if he has any idea that Maokai's in the area, unless Xin Zhao is there too. If it's pushing towards him, it's a very low impact gank that has a high potential to go wrong. I guess they're also trying to read the fact that laners have no idea what's going on in the jungle at this level. Low HP clear would matter in, like, the event that the enemy is ganking and you can't respond. I'm asking my jungler from last season again some more questions. This time I have now asked, was there ever a situation in which a difference in clear speed or a low HP clear actually made a difference? And so he just said, a difference in what sense? I'm like, the faster jungler was actually able to impact a lane first despite both trying to. Or it's like, yes in the sense that you can't contest a scuttle, yes in the sense that if your HP was low you couldn't make a gank work, but never in the sense that you died via invade because your clear was unhealthy, right? Or never in the sense that top lane was completely lost because you had a slower clear and could not impact. Okay, so we have never encountered a situation in which a low health clear was punished via early invade. That's the response I've received. We have never found a situation... I mean, the low HP clear or level difference would make a difference in terms of, like, scuttles that could be contested, but that's not a game-losing interaction. Or you couldn't make a gank work, like you couldn't swing. So it's like if you're a slow clear... If you're a low HP jungler... Okay. I'm just thinking now. I'm just going back and forth. I'll explain what's going on in a moment once I get like this final answer. I'm sorry that I can't show this on stream, guys, but I think, yeah, I can't vocalize all my thoughts right now because this is very important and I'm on the verge of figuring it out. And once I'm satisfied with how it feels in my head, then I will share it. Okay. I think in Platinum play, clear speed doesn't matter, and low HP only matters if you would fail to impact a volatile lane that must be impacted. Something like aggressive melee carry top lane, or like range bot lane, or stuff like that. Like probably Riven Irelia, something like that. You would want to impact that as soon as possible. Then having a low HP clear matters. But we have yet to observe a Platinum jungler invade knowing that your HP is very, very low without prio, expecting that they can kill you before you can do anything about it. We have never seen a clear speed difference in terms of like a race condition to top lane matter, and even if it did, that was actually really cool by Alistar. We've never seen a race condition like that matter, and even if it did, you could simply pivot to like level, I mean, both, it would matter if both junglers then rushed to level 3 and impacted it, like the condition where they're both trying to power farm and then like a level 4 versus level 3 advantage comes up, and like that situation is probably really, really rare. So it doesn't really matter here. Not in Platinum. So if we bring this back to the guiding question from the very, very, very beginning of our study today, what does that mean for, let's say, Ivern? The counterplay to Ivern is to impact his lanes before he can become relevant. Because you know he will not be able to deviate from his full clear. Does that matter? Is that a weakness that's going to be punished? Well, you're never going to get, like, invaded off Ivern's weirdness. You're never going to... Yeah, so in that sense, yes, it would matter if and only if you have a very volatile lane that you must guarantee you can impact first. We've observed that junglers at this level have the fundamentals necessary to like skip camps and impact lanes at the proper time. We've observed that junglers at this level are generally aware of the answers to certain plays that they see on the map. They know how to invade for resources. They know how to split map. They know how to like cross map gank. The big thing that we're just not seeing is playing out the 1v1. That was a gorgeous ultimate. That was a gorgeous hook. Woo. So in that sense, it would still be very, very irresponsible for a team to blind pick Ivern, because it can be expected for, or like not blind, like B1 Ivern. It would be very irresponsible for a team to B1 Ivern, because you would still expect the junglers at this level of play to be able to punish in terms of like potentially having greater map impact. So then you would require your laners to play differently, and we know that is uncomfortable here in Platinum. But that's not a satisfying conclusion either, because like Is it really that crazy to just say, like, okay, guys? No, yeah, it is that crazy to say, play to receive a jungle gank. Because we've established that laners don't get jungling. Not yet. And we've established that laners seriously struggle to set up waves to deal with enemy junglers. So it would matter. Okay. So do jungle matchups matter? I would argue that they don't. Unless skirmishes just very clearly go in favor of one of those champions. So it would, again, not be interaction-based. It would be, like, class-based or something. It would be like Lilia simply wins in some, like, against certain types of champions if those two champions were to ever meet. And that makes, like, mid-game team fighting uncomfortable. Right? No. That's just a, the art half of the room is being used. That's what that sound is. You know, I would hope that too, given that that's impossible, but would be nice. So... No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Steven. So yeah, I think at Platinum level, jungle matchups would only matter in terms of how they would interact in the mid game. Everything else is lane matchups. Now, if you can introduce more volatility and you can capitalize on your champion's early strength and actually start to use these opportunities to kill 1v1 before laners interact, then your win rate in Platinum would go insane because no one would know how to deal with it. Until you become really predictable about it, and then maybe, but, you know. So. Yeah, so if I were to want to play Ivern, I would simply wait until I know what my matchups look like. And then, if I know that I don't have any super volatile lanes, then I would be safe to play Ivern, because the counterplay to Ivern could be played around and could be managed. And then Ivern would become much stronger. But, like, say I first pick, I literally B1 Ivern, and my enemy locks in Jarvan, and does not care at all about his econ or anything like that, and just spam ganks my lanes and makes their lives hell. I cannot interact. I cannot properly counter jungle that, which is... I don't have options to deal with it on my champion. And just the lack of options like that... because there is a lack of options, because it disrupts fundamentals like that, it... Oh, wait... But would they know, is the thing. Is it too disrespectful to put them in a knowledge check on, like, one of the 10 least popular champions in the game? The quacks, yeah. And we've already watched this game, and we know the outcome of this one. Guys, Ivern has a warp factor. Ivern fundamentally changes the way that jungle interactions go. Now, Ivern doesn't necessarily change the way that jungle interactions go in his favor, though, but he, like, heavily disrupts his own timers. His timers are completely different. While we're talking about what you could do to him at, like, the 1 to 2 minute mark, we're also not talking about what he could do to you around the 4 to 5 minute mark, where you have camps that he doesn't, and he's screwing with stuff. It wouldn't interact with the laner's perceptions of anything, but it might confuse the enemy jungler who wouldn't be able to predict Ivern as consistently. Ivern has a warp factor. And warp factors are almost always good in Platinum. Ivern would be weirdly unpredictable at the 5 minute mark. He'd be weirdly unpredictable at, like, the 9 minute mark or something. He'd be lower econ than you eventually, but he could be anywhere. He could be doing anything. And you wouldn't be able to respond efficiently because then you're playing to his econ. Then you're not taking that natural advantage. Like, this is a hard one. This is a hard one. It's really hard to figure out if that's fundamentally disrespectful or if that's just how this level of play works. I'm struggling. Let's find another game. This works. Oh, wait, what? I accidentally loaded up the Valorant one. Whoops. I'm like, VRS, yeah, that's what we're looking for, right? No. Why did they name these the same, by the way? That's so frustrating. Maybe I'm pressuring myself to know too much about it right away, right? Maybe we do just need to experiment and find out. Like, that's the thing. I'm bouncing ideas back and forth, and it's just hard to finish the job. Like, can someone explain to me how Red Team ended up with a Caitlyn and Mumu bot lane? Is there a database or something for the matches of these leagues? No, unfortunately, you have to rely on the leagues uploading the matches to their own YouTube channels. And Victorious is very consistent about it, but, like, Aegis is less so, and I don't really know about some of the others. There is a database for the available leagues. Actually, I should just include that. Hold on, I should make a command for that. Like, because there's not a database about the matches, but there is... Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I just posted this in my YouTube comments and it was on Discord. There it is. There is this. There is a list of, like, all the NA amateur leagues. And you can, like, just find everyone's rule books and find everyone's match days and stuff like that. And this is a great resource. I love this thing. It's definitely hard to find IBS. And I don't blame them because monitoring IBS leagues for anti-smurf stuff is brutal. You need such a dedicated staff to do that. But yeah, should make that available. It's not. I should like. It's not mine. I didn't make it, but I should still link it. I should have a command to just like find it easily. Like, the junglers are not just psychotic gank fiends anymore, right? They have fundamentals. But Ivern's warp factor. If you have a weakness in your warp factor, does it get exploited? Wait, we know. Wait, we know that power farming doesn't always get punished. We know that combat invades are uncommon. Why? Because Nocturne is one of the best junglers in the level of play. Nocturne is amazing in Platinum. And he personally doesn't get attacked directly as often. So we can't say this is a clear speed gap because Kindred explicitly skipped a camp to get here on time. That was basically a 12-16 invade, but turned into a gank. And it didn't even work. It actually favors Sivir a lot. And it's given right back. Now, how are you possibly reading these plays? I guess you expect, like, is that even... Yeah, that's... It's so funny. And then Maokai appears to do very minor maintenance on the wave. Denies Mark from Kindred. Kindred sprinting down for bot side camps? No, Kindred sprinting to check Crab. That's all it is. Kindred expects Crab to still be up. And stumbles into this. So it's still a level of unpredictability. But yeah, like Maokai is even... Vi probably doesn't get punished as much. Is Vi's Clear still unhealthy? Vi's Clear was historically like really... Vi used to be a champion that was like really easy to invade. Where she wouldn't be the healthiest champion in the world, and also she'd have to blow all her cooldowns to actually clear. And would not be able to fight you. So matchups that require one jungler to cheat out micro advantages, or matchups that enable one jungler to cheat out micro advantages by playing the 1v1 in unique ways, will not be capitalized on. And then I'm just missing some fundamental knowledge about what to do in response to level 3 ganks, I guess. How to deny them. My top laner could get dove, and I would not be able to do anything about it playing Ivern. My bot lane would consistently be very safe. don't know about mid lane. Okay, this is worth finding out. The problem is I'm approaching this from, like, the most different jungler in the game. That was really heads up by Mordekaiser. Recalls with his lane in a bad spot, goes down one wave, saves his TP, walks back because he knows he will always be able to break the freeze from Warren. Then interrupts Kindred's mark. Very well played by Mordekaiser. This is a little bit in contradiction to our laners are clueless theory. This is definitely not a clueless way of playing. Well, that could have gone better. Sure it's not clueless? Well, in execution, maybe. But Mordekaiser was very, very heads up about what was happening. I don't know if that means it was... I don't know if this means that Mordekaiser is, like, on the upper edge of the skill bracket. Or if it means that Maokai was very communicative about what was happening. Because we can't know that. Like, we can't know what was happening in the internals of this team. No mantra available. Damn. I have Season 13 Brain Rot. I'm looking at this thinking like, gosh, why is Mordekaiser not building Jack Show? Actually, no. I'm back to Season 12 Brain Rot. Why is he not building Rylai's Sunfire? Match. I was actually such a Mordekaiser, like, Riftmaker hater by the end of Season 12. Because, like, I thought both Rylai's Sunfire or situationally Rocket Belt Nashers were more appealing. Obviously, the second one is a lot rarer than the first. Riftmaker has one champion who enjoys building it right now, and it's Kale. It had 4. Now it has 1. Okay, Gwen is a weird one, because as of today, this is a very new discovery that I need to investigate. Stat sites are reporting Rod of Ages is actually performing on Gwen. With a significantly higher win rate, with a lower sample size. That's the caveat, with a lower sample size. I want to check that out. Because this is a champion I never thought of it before. This is a champion on which that actually makes sense. Rod of Ages is an item that it is just a durability steroid for champions with a lot in their base kits who intend to get to later items. Which actually fits Gwen when you think of it like that. Because the raw AP of Rod of Ages is unironically translating to quite a bit of damage on Gwen's auto attacks. That's the foundation of everything. That's why part of why she could get away with Riftmaker, right? I want to investigate that. But because that's true, that Gwen is actually maybe, to be determined, finding value with Rod of Ages, that means there's one Riftmaker user left. Which is really funny. No, I don't count Twitch. Twitch also has the option of going Crown. He's not hard bound to it, even though it is an option. I think we are about at the point of this study where I should consider wrapping up the stream and resting my brain a little bit. Because, like, we've generated a lot of answers. But that one question is still burning, and I need some time to sleep on it, I think. I don't know if all of the one tricks I've caught on yet, but I think it's worth seeing what they're doing. I think Riftmaker's surviving to see next season. It's such... The concept of it is really not bad. It's really not. It's just so weak. It's so weak. In a post-durability update world, it actually has some potential to survive into next season. Yes. But, like, I don't know. I don't see the point in removing it is the thing. Like, I don't think you should just remove items because they have low play rates. It's harming nobody being in the game. It's helping a couple of champions like that. I miss Gunblade too. Gunblade was cool. The only reason that they would or should remove an item is to replace it with something that has a similar niche that has a more interesting design. So, like, I think it's fine. Although I miss Athene's dearly, and I would love for that item to be back, and I would actually really love for it to be a legendary, so that you had the option to go, like, Athene's into damage mythic. I think that would be sweet. It can't exist, because the overlap with Moonstone makes it very redundant, and, like... Which sucks, because it does do something different, but it's hard to justify with Moonstone and Mandate in the game, and then it starts crowding stuff, right? I think Riftmaker does do something meaningfully different. It's just what it does that's different isn't necessarily good. It's harmless. I frankly wouldn't care that much if it got removed, but I don't think it necessarily should be removed. Yeah, I'm too hung up on one specific question. The only thing that would weaken you as a platinum jungler is an inability to impact your lanes, I think. Like, if you are literally completely unable, if the option to help your lane is removed entirely based on how your champion works. And no, power farming is not removing the option. I think that's the only thing that can make you a weaker jungler in Platinum. I think that's the only element of a jungler that would go very consistently punished in the early game. And I think the matchups only really matter in terms of how the champions interact in the mid game. Truthfully, if nobody's like invading like crazy, would you be upset playing either side of this matchup? Kindred or Maokai. Ignoring what the teams around them are, if you look at Kindred versus Maokai in a vacuum, if Kindred is not, like, bullying the Maokai off everything. Because the pathing tends to be rather avoidance, because they can both contribute to their lanes, like, because they can both make decisions to win exchanges. Would you really hate being either one of them here? Like, obviously, the Kindred is probably a little bit favored, but that can't matter. Maokai... It matters in this context because Maokai has an Azir that's contributing virtually nothing and has a Mordekaiser on his team, but... like, because it's not like Kindred is... I mean, I don't even think Kindred is capable of just surprise popping into your jungle, killing you before laners intervene. No, never mind. Kindred is 100% capable. Is Kindred capable? Kindred is capable of doing that if your clear is unhealthy, but Maokai's clear is not unhealthy. And we know the players don't tend to look for that. It would be surprising if they did. We would still play around it as though they were going to, but we wouldn't draft around it as though they were going to. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yep, I'm tired. Let's wrap this up. So the regular Platinum stuff, when we're talking about matchups in Platinum play, in archetype-based matchups in lanes matter. Ranged-based matchups in lanes matter. We know this. Interaction-based matchups in lanes don't necessarily matter. Because you're exposing yourself to a situation in which you can lose your winning interaction and stuff like that typically occurs. Now, that's only lane matchups. We flip to jungle matchups. What did we discover? Well, we discovered there's like a shocking amount of similarities between IBS and flat jungling in terms of what can be played. Junglers have the fundamentals to gank, counter gank, like play around different lines, right? They know the very basics. Anything that's like dramatically warping is still uncomfortable, and if you are pushing the tempo dramatically, your opponent can kind of collapse and choke and get scared, and then then the invades really start to work with laner intervention. But we've pretty much, there's a lot of handshaking, there's a lot of avoidant pathing. If you're pathing same sides, you tend to try to avoid interaction anyway, is what I've seen. Junglers don't shove lanes solely for invade tempo. They don't shove lanes solely for Drake tempo, typically. Clear speed doesn't tend to matter. Clear HP does matter if and only if it would prevent you from impacting a volatile lane. Laners do struggle to manage their waves around junglers, so that could be a bad thing. But if you give them enough advance notice and problem solve around it, I mean, a lot of Platinum players can't handle that, right? I think. That's the part where I'm still kind of hit or miss. I'm like, does that matter? If I'm low HP, can my laner survive an unanswered gank while I play the opposite side of the map? Actually, yeah, we've seen them do that. Or no? Wait. No, they do die. They do die, actually. They do die, but you don't care? Like, okay, this is weird. This is a hole in my knowledge, and that's where I'm struggling. That's where I'm struggling. If you are less capable of impact, of like, if low HP matters if it exposes opportunities for the enemy jungler. But you will not be invaded because you have a low HP clear. Okay, so clear speed doesn't matter. Low HP does matter if and only if it would expose your lanes to unanswered plays. If you are not a carry who profits from cross map, that's very bad. You will not be surprised solo invaded in 99% of plat games. Oof. Okay. I think that's a... Yeah, I think... I will not get any further on this topic tonight. And so even if we do have more questions that need to be resolved, that needs to be... We need to test for the answers to those questions. We need to gain more experience. And we need to think on it with a clearer head. Like, it's not going to happen tonight. So. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will not be streaming tomorrow because I'm going to be visiting family. The schedule is going to be delayed a little bit just as I'm trying to work out some plans with friends and see what's happening there. So just expect to know what's going on for the week, like probably on Tuesday. I think that's when I'll be able to announce some stuff. And we're expecting, of course, like 2 Legends of Runeterra, probably another research. I'm still waiting for the actual season to begin to start my jungle climb. And I might spend the weekend, like, cleaning up some part of my backlog. Like, we'll revisit a Hollow Knight or a Baba Is You, like, lingering task sort of thing. Just from the previous playthroughs, right? Okay, yeah, that should be everything. So, once again, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to love yourselves, respect each other. I will see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.